Welcome to the Are You Career Expo Ready CC On Demand workshop. My name is Elizabeth, and I am a career counselor at the Center for Career Education and Community Engagement, or CC for short. This workshop will help you prepare for the Career Expo. Some of the topics that I will discuss today will include information about the Career Expo. How can you prepare prior to a Career Expo? By updating your resume, doing your research, preparing your intro speech, and learning what questions to ask, and what should you wear for the Career Expo. On the day of the Career Expo, you will learn how you can prepare by learning what to bring and how to interact with employers. After the fair, you can learn how you can follow up with employers. I will also show how you can view the list of employers who are attending and how you can submit your resume for review in Handshake. What is a Career Expo? At a Career Expo, employers from a variety of industries come to CSUB to share information about job and internship opportunities. A Career Expo is usually held in the fall semester and in the spring semester. For the fall semester, it is usually the first week of October. For the spring semester, it is usually the first week of March, and it is scheduled around 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Student Recreation Center inside the gym. Why should you attend a Career Expo? There are multiple benefits for attending a Career Expo, such as networking with companies and recruiters. You can also learn about internship and job opportunities and get an understanding of what the application process looks like. Our Fall Career Expo is scheduled for Thursday, October 3rd, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the SRC gym. The Career Expo for the spring semester is scheduled for Thursday, March 6th, 2025, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the SRC gym. All students and alumni are invited and encouraged to attend the Career Expo. It is never too early to network and explore your career options. If you have questions about a future Career Expo, please contact the CC office at 661-654-3033, or you can email career@csub.edu for more information. One of the ways that you can prepare prior to the Career Expo is to update your resume. The formatting of a resume is important. You want to make sure that your format is neat, consistent, and visually appealing. A resume is composed of different sections, and for each section, there should be a heading. In order for those headings to pop out, you want to make sure that you are using some form of formatting technique. You can either use all capitals, bold, or utilize some type of spacing format. You also want to make sure that the information you list on your resume is consistent. For example, are you spelling out the months, or are you abbreviating the months, or are you using digits for the month? You want to remain consistent with that formatting across your entire document. A font size between 10 to 12 is highly recommended for your resume. For your name and your headings, it is okay if you utilize a slightly larger font. However, you don't want to utilize a font size smaller than 10. You should utilize standard serif or sans serif font for your resume. Some examples can include Cambria, Times New Roman, and Arial, just to name a few. The order of how you place these sections on your resume can vary. They are not set in stone. However, your first and last name and contact information should remain at the top of the page. A one-page resume is recommended. However, it is not required. Depending on your education and your experience, your resume may go to a second page, and that is okay as long as all the information that you have included is relevant to the position that you are applying to. If you plan to print copies of your resume, you want to make sure that you utilize a neutral colored paper. Please make sure to also get your resume proofread. Not only is the resume describing who you are as a professional, but it is also a sample of your writing. You want to make sure that your resume is ATS compatible. ATS is the Applicant Tracking System. It's a software that employers and companies utilize to screen resumes. If you think about it, for that one job or that one internship, how many resumes do you think they get online? Most likely a lot. So the companies are utilizing this software in order to screen those resumes. When you go on the internet, such as Google or maybe Microsoft Word, and you search for resume templates, you get all types of resume templates. Some will have color font, some will have borders, some will have pictures, some will have text boxes. The list goes on. However, you actually want to avoid these templates for two reasons. One, they are difficult to modify, and they can also create conflict with this resume scanning software. Unless you are in a creative field, a traditional format is highly recommended. You can be the perfect person for this role or this position, but if your resume is not making it through this ATS software, you could be missing out on some opportunities. That's why it is important to stay away from including text boxes on your resume, stay away from borders, any type of arrows or check marks or other icons, and you definitely don't want to include a picture of yourself on the resume. Avoid including information in the header or the footer of the document, and you want to stay away from underlining words. I will now be sharing the different sections and information that should be listed on your resume. Your first and last name and your contact information should be listed at the top of the document, but not in the header. You can actually make your first and last name a larger font. That way this information stands out from your resume. Mailing address is not required. However, it is recommended to at least include your city and state. You also want to make sure that you include a phone number and make sure that you set up your voicemail. You should be utilizing a professional email address on your resume. If you don't have one, you can create one within combination of your first and last name or vice versa, or you can include your CSUB email. If your email address is partywithme661@gmail.com, the recruiters and hiring managers will not take you seriously and they will not contact you for a potential interview. As a result, you can be missing out on some opportunities because you don't have a professional email address. If you have a LinkedIn account, you can actually include your LinkedIn URL, including an objective or professional summary or a profile on your resume is optional. However, if you do decide to include one, you would only include one. In this section, you want to include the type of position you are seeking, and this should also be employer focused. In other words, what skills do you bring to the table? How can you contribute to the organization? As opposed to what are you hoping to gain from the organization? If you have several years of experience, consider using a professional summary or a profile instead of an objective. An example of a profile is sociology undergraduate student with excellent communication and critical thinking skills, bilingual, computer literate, and reliable, seeking an internship where I can provide exceptional service to the organization and make a positive difference in the community. Another section that must be included on your resume is the education section. If you attended multiple colleges, you want to make sure that you list your information in reverse chronological order, meaning most recent on top and least recent at the bottom. You will include the college name. For example, California State University, Bakersfield. You want to make sure that you spell out the university name. You will also include city and state. In this example, it would be Bakersfield, California. You should also include your degree title, such as Bachelor of Arts, Sociology. And if you have a minor, concentration, or emphasis, you can also include this information. In this example, the student is minoring in criminal justice. You also want to make sure that you include your date spans, meaning month and year that you began at the college, hyphen present, since you are a current student, or if you know your anticipated graduation date, you can include that information. You will include the starting month and year, hyphen ending month and year. You should not include high school information in the education section. The only exception to include high school information is if you are applying to a position for that district or for that specific high school. Other information that you can include in the education section is your GPA, if it is a 3.0 or higher, Dean's List, any coursework you have completed, and other special programs. You must also include an experience section on your resume. If you notice, the heading is experience and not work experience. This will allow you to include both paid and unpaid positions within the same section. And in your resume, you actually do want to include both paid and unpaid positions. You want to make sure that you are including all relevant experiences related to the position that you are interested in applying for. In the experience section, you should list organization name. For example, Bakersfield Homeless Shelter. You will include city and state for the organization. You will also include your position title and your date span, month and year that you began with that organization, hyphen present if you are still part of that organization. If you are no longer part with the organization, you will then include starting month and year, hyphen ending month and year. For each experience, you want to make sure that you include bullet point statements as opposed to long paragraphs. You also want to stay away from utilizing personal pronouns such as I or my. The only exception where you can utilize I or my will be in the profile or the objective or the professional summary if you include that on your resume. It is important to incorporate keywords and skills relevant to your career objective. In other words, analyze that job description. Get a good idea of what kind of candidates are they looking for. Do they want someone who can multitask? Do they want someone who has leadership abilities? Do they want someone who has great customer service? If you have those skill sets, you want to make sure that you incorporate those skills on your resume. In order to build the experience statements, you want to utilize something that is called the WHO method. The W stands for what did you do? The H stands for how did you do it? And the O is for the outcome based on what you gained or learned or the client or company gained. When you incorporate all these three elements, it should give you one sentence, which is that one bullet point statement. I will be sharing an example of the WHO method in a couple of slides. The skills section is optional, but if you include this section on your resume, you can include languages. If you speak multiple languages, you can include that information. If you are bilingual, trilingual, and also include the languages. For example, bilingual in Spanish and English. You can also include computer or technical skills, and if you have any certifications related to your industry. If you include soft skills on your resume, consider including supportive evidence. In this example, the student states that they have leadership experience, and the supportive evidence is chair of the sociology club in which $5,000 was raised for charity. If applicable, another section that you can include on your resume is a memberships, associations, or activities section. In this section, you will include the activity name, for example, CSUB Sociology Club, followed by your affiliation. Maybe you are a member or a chair or the vice president of the club. You will also include your date span, month and year that you began with the organization, -present if you are still involved. If you are no longer involved, you will include starting month and year, -ending month and year. Do not include references on your resume. It is recommended to create a separate document to list those references. You also do not need to include references available upon request on your resume. In this example, John is currently volunteering at the Bakersfield Homeless Shelter, and for the experience statements, John included help children and assist families. There is definitely room there to improve those experience statements, and by utilizing the who method, you are able to create strong experience statements. You never want the reader to assume or guess what you did for that specific role. If I were to incorporate the who method for the Bakersfield Homeless Shelter experience, what did John do? Help children complete assignments. How? Work with professional staff. What was the outcome? Stay current with grade level. What else did John do? Assist individuals and families. How? Identify services available in the area. What was the outcome? Develop understanding of community resources. Now, when you incorporate these three elements together, again, it will give you that one sentence or that one bullet point statement. And it can sound something like this. Work with professional staff to help children complete academic assignments to stay current with grade level. Develop excellent understanding of community resources by assisting individuals and families to identify services in the area. I will now be sharing some resume resources. On our website, you have access to different resume samples. If you notice, each bullet point is a link. When you click on that link, it will open as a Word document, and you are able to make changes to this resume and utilize as your own. You can also view resume writing resources. If you need an example of a resume format guide, you can click on that first link. If you need additional details and information about the who method, you can click on the who method guide. If you feel like you are running out of action verbs to include on your resume, or you tend to repeat the same action verbs, you can click on the resume action verbs link. Lastly, there is also a resume rubric available in order to help you build that resume. On the right side of the screen, you will see Handshake. All students have a Handshake account. It's just a matter of logging in and activating that account by utilizing your CSUB credentials. To get electronic feedback on your resume, you can click on the top right corner. You will either see your initials or your profile picture if you included one. When you click on there, you will get a drop-down list, and you want to click on My Documents. Once you click on there, you will be able to upload your resume to get electronic feedback. If you prefer to schedule an appointment, you can do that in Handshake as well. You will click on the Career Center tab, and then you will click on Appointments. Then you can choose a date and time that fits best with your schedule. If you are seeking resume feedback for the Career Expo, we recommend that you give yourself enough time. Avoid uploading your resume in Handshake a day or the night before the Career Expo. In order to prepare for the Career Expo, you also want to make sure that you do your research. When you log into your Handshake account, you can actually view the list of the organizations and companies that have registered and will be attending the Career Expo. You also want to make sure that you determine your objectives. In other words, what is your purpose for attending the Career Expo? Is it to learn about different companies, learn about the job application process, learn about what opportunities are available, or maybe you are seeking to network with a specific recruiter? If you plan on giving a copy of your resume, make sure that you have printed copies with you. To help you stay organized, you can create a must-visit document. You can list the top 5 or 6 companies that you plan to visit when you attend the Career Expo. You are not limited to only visiting these 5 or 6 companies. You can visit all the companies and organizations that attend the Career Expo. Do your research by reading the company's profile and Handshake in order to get an idea of who they are as an organization. And you can also see what available opportunities they have if they posted that information. You can also expand your research by visiting the company's website, LinkedIn account, and other online resources in order to learn more about them. During this research process, you want to make sure that you are taking notes. How are you going to introduce yourself to the recruiter once you attend the Career Expo? You want to prepare an intro speech. In your intro speech, you can share information about your name, your major, what year you are in, and possibly your expected graduation date. For example, hi, my name is Rowdy Roadrunner. I am a senior in business administration with a concentration in management. You can also share information about your experience or related work experience. This can include work, volunteer, club, and other organizations. You can provide a statement with information about your future goals or career objectives. During your research process, you can possibly share any knowledge or interest that you gained in that organization as well. Please remember that this should be a conversation that is going back and forth. You should not sound like a robot that you memorize this information. It should flow smoothly. So maybe after you introduce yourself, they asked you about your background or your experience. Then you can share that you are a member of the Society for Human Resource Management along with the marketing club. You help nonprofit organizations promote their programs to help the community, and you are interested in learning more about their company and opportunities as you want to help the community and gain experience. Based on the research you conducted, you should have some questions to ask the employer or the recruiter. Asking good questions is a good way to start or continue a conversation. It shows that you are prepared. You can write a couple of questions to ask about the company's culture, professional development opportunities, mentorship programs, and other questions you may have based on the research you conducted. Some examples include what kind of skills and experiences do you look for in the employees you hire? Are graduate degrees important to advancing within your organization? If so, which ones? What kind of entry-level positions or internships exist within your organization? To stay connected or obtain contact information, you can also ask questions such as, what would be the next step to take after meeting you here? Or what's the best way to stay in touch with you? What can you wear to a career expo? It is recommended to dress business formal, business professional, business casual, or smart casual. For business formal, you can wear a dark suit, whether it is pants or a skirt. You can wear heels, Oxford, and loafers. For business professional, you can wear a pair of slacks, skirts, a professional dress, or a suit. You can also wear button-down shirts, a blouse, or a blazer. For business casual, you can wear a pair of slacks, khakis, or a pencil skirt, a collared or button-down shirt or a blouse, accompanied with a blazer, a sweater, a sport coat, or a jacket. For smart casual, you can wear slacks or khakis, a blazer or a sports jacket. You can also wear a button-down or collared shirt, a blouse, or a sweater. If necessary, you can resort to casual, but you want to make sure that you keep it professional. This includes a pair of jeans, but you want to stay away from ripped jeans, a pair of slacks, khakis, or linen pants. For topwear, you can wear a polo, a blouse, a sweater, or a button-down shirt. Other attire tips include wearing solid, dark, or neutral colors. Light colors can be worn underneath. You want to be cautious with the amount of makeup you utilize, the type of hairstyle you have, how much jewelry you are wearing, and avoid using overpowering perfume or cologne. You never want to wear sweats, pajamas, or athletic clothing to a career expo. and it is recommended to cover excessive tattoos and piercings. Always have a clean and polished look. Hygiene should be well maintained. I will also be sharing a short video of how you can dress to a career expo. On the day of the career expo, you definitely want to be prepared. You should bring several printed copies of your resume. You can bring a portfolio or a notebook in order to take notes. You can also save the hard copies of your resumes inside your portfolio or the notebook and have that list ready of the employers that you plan to connect with. The Career Expo is also a professional networking event. You want to take the event seriously. Make sure that you are dressed professionally, that you practice your handshake if applicable, you smile, and you are making eye contact with the recruiters. You want to be confident and be positive. Although it can be intimidating, you want to avoid being intimidated. If you're not really sure what to expect or what interactions to expect, you can actually observe how other students are interacting with the recruiters prior to you interacting with a recruiter. To avoid distractions, please make sure that you silence your cell phone and avoid utilizing your cell phone while you are talking to the recruiter. It is rude to be texting when the recruiter is talking to you, or if your cell phone goes off because somebody is calling you. Again, avoid distractions. The best way to interact with employers is to have that introduction speech ready. You want to make sure that you are matching your skills and interests to the organization and ask questions. Discuss what the application process looks like. Are they wanting students to apply online? Are they asking students to email a resume to an individual? In some instances, a recruiter can ask you for a copy of your resume. You want to have a copy of your resume ready, whether it is a hard copy or emailing it over to them. Ask for contact information so you can follow up after the fair, and it is okay to take notes throughout this process of interacting with the recruiters. You also want to be considerate. Thank the recruiter for their time, and you also want to be considerate of your time with the recruiter. There are other students waiting to talk to the recruiter. The goal is to make in-person interactions and leave a positive impression. Your interactions with the employer or that recruiter does not always end at the Career Expo. After the fair, you can actually send a thank you email to show your appreciation. You can send an email within those first 24 hours. You can also follow the recruiter or the company on their social media platforms or LinkedIn and Handshake. If you had a conversation with a recruiter that involved the job application process, you want to make sure that you follow through that job application process, whether it was to apply through their website or maybe you were asked to email a copy of your resume to them. Again, you want to make sure that you follow that process. I provided an example of a follow-up email for a recruiter. You want to make sure that you include a subject line and provide a greeting. Hello, Janet. Thank you so much for making time to speak with me at the Spring Career Expo on March 7th. It was great learning about the company's vision for helping the community, and I believe my experience in human services make me a great fit for your company. As discussed, attached is my resume and I submitted my job application. I look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thanks again for your time and consideration. Best regards, Rowdy Roadrunner. Make sure to include a good phone number and your email address as well. On the screen, you are able to see some of the services that we offer. I will now be sharing how you can search for registered companies and organizations for the Career Expo in Handshake. When you log into Handshake, your main page will look something similar like this. On the left side, you will go to the Events tab. You will scroll down to the CSUB Fall Career Expo. You will see the career fair information. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see a button that says See More Employers. You are now able to see a list of all the employers that have registered to attend the Career Expo. If you want additional information about who they are as an organization, you can click on View Details. You will get a short summary of who they are as an organization. You are able to see what jobs are they hiring for. You are also able to see if they are looking for specific majors. And for additional information, you can click on this link to go directly to their website for more information. You can also utilize the filters on the left side of the screen if you are interested in job opportunities, or maybe you're only looking for internship opportunities. You can filter by internships, and now you are able to see all the organizations that are looking for interns. Maybe you are interested in specific majors. You can filter by major, or you can filter by industry as well. Again, this is a great way to do your research, get information about the organizations that are coming. And if you are interested in a specific organization, you're able to begin your research through Handshake. Earlier, I had mentioned that you are able to upload your resume in Handshake to receive electronic feedback. If you click on your initials on the top right corner and click on My Documents, you will click on Add New Document. You would choose the document type, which is resume, and upload your resume wherever you have it saved. Once you submit this document, a career counselor will receive it, they will review it, and then email it over back to you with feedback. We do strongly recommend that you provide anywhere between 1 to 3 business days to allow to receive some electronic feedback. Your feedback is important. Please take a few minutes to complete our workshop survey. Let us know if this was helpful and what other career-related topics you would like CC to offer. Thank you for watching the Are You Career Expo Ready workshop.